Hi everyone, welcome to Not Your Normal Nerding. Today I'm going to talk about efficient giving, efficient charity. Uh, so the whole thing about giving, uh, being a service to the community, so forth, you would never think that efficiency would play into that kind of mix. Perspective-wise, certain parts of it should. Certain parts of it shouldn't. And if you think about multiple perspectives, and once again, the whole point of this channel is to look at a different perspective on things that people don't realize. A couple of months ago, one of my colleagues made this mention about his wife going to a homeless shelter, and pretty much what his wife did there was help to prepare meals for the people that came in for dinner and so forth as well too. I thought that was a great idea. I consider that a fairly good idea. Nothing too out of the ordinary. I think it's great to give back to the community. It's one of the things that the United States is founded on, is the philanthropy that occurs. Why not give to somebody and give them an opportunity to have a better life when you were given that opportunity to have a good life as well? And with the amount of excess that occurs in America, I think it's a good thing. Overall, though, I did smirk at that comment, and he noticed that I smirked at that comment. So I was like, all right. And he thought there's something else that he's seeing that my colleague didn't see. So he asked me, what is that perspective? And I told him that I think what his wife is doing is a great thing. I don't consider it a bad thing, and I encourage people to always do something like that. The background behind this is my colleague's wife has a bachelor's degree in helping others. She's a college-educated person with helping others. She has a lot of experience with helping others. And on top of that is she is in a leadership role. She is a supervisor as well too. So a couple of months ago, I told him, how about we go on a homeless tour? And it sounds terrible at first if you think about it. But it wasn't a bad thing, because people think, oh, why would you do a tour of the homeless? Mainly because this gentleman, he has grown up in a middle class to upper middle class life. What does he understand about the homeless person's perspective and what their needs are? What is going to be able to help them? So the best way to describe this is a person who is homeless, who has a significant amount of need for life and survival. Food and water. So their versions of food and water is something that sometimes may not be palatable to a regular person. Is an apple from a dumpster the best food in the world to the normal person? No, it is not. It's gross. But the fact is, it's food. It's nutrition. It's going to sustain somebody. Would I eat an apple from the dumpster? I'll say this. As of right now, I don't have a reason to. But if I was in the situation where that was my only food, I would probably place that into consideration. Excuse me. Similar to water as well too. A bottle of water that has a little bit left in it that somebody has drank out of and is sitting in the dumpster, would I drink from it? Currently right now, absolutely not. If I was in that situation and I was really thirsty and that was my only source of hydration, would I place that into consideration? I probably would place that into some level of consideration, because it's about a survival. It's a need of food and water. People who have the means to afford something nicer, nobody would ever do something like that. Look at clothing wise, somebody who is homeless, their need for clothing is to prevent the external world from causing further injury or harm to their body, to protect them from the outside world. Similar to shelter as well too, is a means of protecting from the elements of the world. That's the homeless perspective. And for them, a clothing item that's ripped up, that's dirty, that hasn't been washed in 2 months, technically, I hate to say it this way, will still protect them just as readily as a shirt that gets cleaned every other day is clean and crisp. Would I wear a shirt that dirty? Well, unfortunately, I won't need to right now because I have the means to wash my clothes. But the reality of it is it does the same thing. Would my colleague wear a shirt that dirty? Absolutely not. And once again, he's never grown up in an environment, in a world where he had to worry about those things. So the perspective is very, very different. How do you understand until you can at least see something, understand in their shoes? And his world is the closest he's ever gotten, and the closest his spouse has ever gotten to that world is a shelter. Well, this building is a fairly nice facility overall. I mean, it's not like luxurious, but it's a clean environment. So the homeless tour, was to place him into their actual environment and understand the dynamics of their world. Similar to our world, we have the low class, middle class, and upper class, and each one is based upon an economic status. People who are in the lower class, they have less money, less abilities overall than the middle class, and the middle class versus the upper class, the same thing. So what you can afford, if you're in the upper class, you can afford a whole lot more than you were in the middle class. And if you're in the middle class, you can afford a whole lot more than you were in the lower class. Well, homeless people, they have their classes as well too. So first things first, the first tour, I took him under this particular bridge of people who live there. That is their form of shelter, so it's nice, solid shelter. It protects them from the environment pretty good. Their clothing or so, yeah, probably you can see that they haven't been able to wash their clothing in 2 or 3 weeks or so forth, but they have clothing, it's not tattered. And what he also noticed, is I told him to notice this as well too, is that this world, they have these trash that's, you notice bottled water, water bottles and so forth as well too. It kind of gives them a hint that, hey, these people have the capacity to afford, bottled water or a cigarette or whatever it is. It kind of hints to the fact that they do have some means of financial capacity. Maybe not the best means, but at least they can afford these things that sustain their life better. So they see this world, and I showed him how to look at what these people have available. Is it a dirty environment? It's not the cleanest. Is it the dirtiest? No, it could get worse. So that's one side of the coin. And then the next place I took him to was right out of these, it was right next to a train, some train tracks, next to a little watering hole that part of it was from surface runoff and drainage water as well. There's no bridge. There's a couple of trees in the area. So drinking water wise, these people have to fashion with whatever stuff they have available is some means of water filtration to drink. Is it the cleanest water in the world? No, it's not something that's probably even humanly sanitary. But once again, why do they drink it? Because it's about survival, whatever works to let them survive. And realistically, yes, they do get sick off of the water they drink. Is anyone going to care? Unfortunately, in their world, the only people that will care are the other homeless people around them. They're tucked away out of society. That railroad track is possibly train hoppers or so that they can get on and off, and that's their only real means of transportation outside of walking. Their shelter is makeshift covers or so, or sleeping bags in a sense, that they can use to stay away from the outside environment and try to get some sleep and stay warm. And their clothing wise, very tattered, leftover clothing, whatever they can makeshift together, stitch together, and so forth as well too. They sleep wherever it is they can. They find food wherever it is they can. So that's another side of that world. And the third part is he went to this. We took him to this one place, and this is what I call the like every other homeless community, and it's actually a community. And what you'll notice in this particular community, it was a tent community. So a lot of people there had tents and so forth. You had broken down cars. In this particular community, yes, they do have more financial capacity. Are they homeless? Technically, they live in tents. So are they really homeless? No, but yes, they are compared to normal society. People who have homes and live in neighborhoods and so forth. So these people, the reason why these people live here in circumstances is very different in all three communities. These people lived here, most of them, because they do have the capacity to support some kind of understanding of financial allocation, in the sense be able to work these intermittent jobs or short jobs or whatever it is. Some of these people were running from particular situations that were very bad for them, and this is where they ended up. So those circumstances do happen, and so not everybody who is homeless is there on purpose, but some of those people who are homeless are there on purpose. So what do? You try to find the ones that are there not on purpose. The ones that are there on purpose, you can't do anything about. Some people, they just like that lifestyle. They prefer that lifestyle over whatever it is. And perspective-wise, you got to let them be. I know it's weird. I think it's weird why somebody would want that lifestyle, because I would not want that lifestyle. I would want better from life. But to each their own, and everybody has that particular happiness in their life that they want to fight for. If they want to be homeless and live that particular situation in that particular environment, that's completely up to them. So my colleague gets to see all this, and he finally understands what I mean when it comes to realizing overall all these niches, all these needs that these people have. And it's not just the people who show up at these shelters. There's so many more that these shelters cannot reach. So after we do this homeless tour, the reason why I smirked is because his wife, my colleague's wife, what she did at the homeless shelter was prepare meals. I think that's absolutely fine, but I think that is wasting her talent that she can use to help these people in need. And it's not about just the homeless, it's about the people who actually need help. Instead of doing that, anybody can do that. Unfortunately, it's a very simple skill, a simple task is to help prepare a meal, ladle a thing of soup or whatever it is. You can always find people to do that. She has a particular set of skills where I told them, why not say to the homeless shelter that she was at, hey, I have these abilities. Would it be okay? Or go up to these coordinators and say, hey, would it be okay if I do this at this facility free of charge, and be able to find these people or be able to help these people or help them navigate these particular situations so that they can get out of their bad situation. And he thought about that for a second. And he's like, yeah, that is a good way of looking at it. Why waste her skill ladling a spoon of soup when she could be actively participating while they're actually having dinner there, is to go up and say hi to them and ask them if she could help them. And she has the capacity, the knowledge, and the experience, and she could utilize it so much more to get these people out of these situations. So he goes home and tells his wife about this. And that's the key thing, is he tells his wife, and his wife realizes that, hey, you know what? There is a perspective behind her that's a little bit different. Doing good, it's always a great thing. It's always a good feeling. But it's not just about doing good. It's about being able to expand the capacity to do good, to be more efficient, because you can help more people. That's the thing about finding the most efficient cost method of bringing in food, which means if you can bring in more food, you can help more people. So efficiency is extremely important when it comes to helping people in need, because the more efficient you are, the more you can help, the more people you can help. Similar to my colleague's wife, she has the capacity to help them in such a bigger way. Instead of giving them a fish every single day, she has the capacity to teach them how to fish. Not necessarily fishing as a thing, but as a reality, but it's an analogy, is give them the tools, give them the resources, give them that knowledge to be able to better their lives and start going out and making their life better, because of their situation is a temporary one. They don't want to be in that situation. They just may not know how to navigate out of it. So that's the key thing about these perspectives upon being able to help others, is why not take your skill set, the thing that you're really, really good at, the thing that you've been doing for 5, 6, 7 years with so much experience and so much backing behind it, that you can actually make somebody's life better by doing something that is not so what people consider menial, what society considers menial, is to help them in a more profound way. Ultimately, I'll ladle the soup if she would be willing to help these people in that particular method. I'm pretty sure her husband would do the same thing. But that's the thing about skill set, is what capacity do you have to help other people? Use it, make it efficient, because more people who want to get out of their not so great situation, want to make their life better. This person, my colleague's wife, has the capacity to impact somebody more than just one day, is to give them a future that they would not have otherwise because of it. Now that's a good perspective to have. Thank you for watching this video.